Yeah, just, shout out to Tiger Nation and all the Clemson fans coming out tonight. It was a great crowd, and, we didn't have much for them to cheer about early, but they stayed into it, and I appreciate them coming out and want to see them come out even more tomorrow. Let's set an attendance record tomorrow. Turning point in the game was Jacob McGovern coming in, bases loaded, no outs, and going strikeout, then web gem catch by Dom Listy. Cam's 4-out RBIs were huge, especially the insurance homer in the eighth. But we did what we needed to do and scored in a multitude of ways, whether it was Cam's double and homer or a safety squeeze or two-strike hitting, stealing bases, whatever we had to do. That's a very good team. They've got power, they can run, and we knew exactly that they were going to be. We were going to have our hands full. We knew that, and it didn't disappoint in that regard because it was a nip and tuck game there for a long, long time. So until we could separate in the eighth, that was a heck of a game. But great win. We're happy about it. We'll celebrate it tonight, but we know there's a lot of regional left, and we got another great game on deck with West Virginia tomorrow night.
All right, let's start in the back here, and then we'll go to row 2 for a couple of questions.
David Hood, TigerNet.com. Coach, kind of a two-part Jacob McGovern question. The first part, did you feel like he comes in, bases loaded, nobody out, shuts him down? Did you feel like the offense then would kind of pick up a cue from that because of the energy of the crowd? And then number 2, he's now in NCAA tournament time, 7 1/3 innings, 1 run over a couple of years, and over a couple of years, 16 2/3 in the postseason, 1 run. People on Twitter are now calling him McShovern. Do you kind of like that and agree with it?
Do you like that? You like McShovern? Yeah, I'd say that's a well-earned name, and yeah, the offense I think could exhale a little bit, and it's kind of like one of those moments. All right, enough's enough. McGovern just everyone recognized the moment in what he did. Because that was a huge strand of the bases loaded, the no outs, the run expectancy in that situation's over 2.2 runs, and for him to come in and get 2 big strikeouts right in the heart of their order against some dangerous hitters was certainly huge. So yeah, he earned the nickname McShovern there, and we'll just let's keep earning that one. He'll be I'm sure he'll get recovered and be available later at some point in this regional, but. Yeah, huge moment in the game, and it certainly helped the offense, helped the whole team. It was a turning point in the game for sure.
All right, we'll go to row 3, and then row 2 up front here, and then back here, the next 3.
I'm Trevor Groves, CUTigers.com. You doubled your home run total in the last 2 games. Take us through the first at-bat, the 2-run double that you had, and then also the home run. And are you starting to feel like the power is coming back to where you were physically?
We were struggling at first, but that's playoff baseball. After McShovern started throwing good, and the crowd started going crazy, we had to put up runs, and you just have to have the confidence and go out there every day and and compete. And I feel like me and the team, we just did that, and we got a great dub today. So.
Do you feel like the pop's back in your bat, like the physicality is coming back to where it was before?
Yeah, like I said, I think that the confidence is back too. So, yeah, for sure.
All right, let's go right here in row 2.
Darian Carter, Grin loser for Jacob. Coach Bakich was the first person to greet you after that 5th inning, gave you a high five. What did he tell you in that moment? Just how special was that for you?
I don't remember completely.
Better not say what I said.
It was along the lines of "Let's go." He's always, he's always got our back. And it's not the first time he's been out there, first man out to greet us. After a big moment in the game. So it's awesome to know he's behind us.
All right, let's go here, and then we're going to go here, and then we're going to go here.
Facts and Childress, 105.5 The Ward. Cam, it feels like the big moment always finds you and you always answer the call. Talk us a little bit through what's going through your mind with these big moments. The crowd comes up, whether it be last year, throughout the course of the season. You're unfazed, you're cool, calm, and collected. How can you remain so composed in the big moment time after time?
Yeah, when I come up to bat, I'm trying to help the team win. I love the big moments, and, when that time comes and I want to shine in that moment. I'm just happy the people got on base for me, and I had the big moment for us to win the game. So
Let's go to row 3 and then back up here in the front. Row 3 first.
Coach, Nelson Smith from Gameflow Media Group. Earlier in the season, you talked about T.P. Wentworth and really wanting to give him more opportunities and letting him do what he does. At this point in the year, do you think you've seen and the coaching staff has seen what they wanted to see out of him in his freshman year and his development?
Yeah, he's just he's a elite athlete. He's one of those true 3-sport high school athletes. Those guys don't exist as often as they used to, and he could have played mid-major Division I football as a quarterback. I mean, he's just a special athlete. So we knew we had a really good player on our hands, and it's the first year that he's specialized in one sport. And so, it was just one of those things. As the year's gone on, he's gotten better and better. And it was game 2 against Pittsburgh. JJ tweaked his arm and had to come out. Gaffney was catching, and he got in there and hit a couple of rockets. And then the next day, Gaffney had strained his hamstring, and so he stayed in there and had more quality at bats. And we've just left him in there, and he seems to be one of those guys that not only does he have a very bright future, but he's coming up with some big at bats against some really good pitching. I mean, think about who he faced and who he saw in the ACC tournament and the gauntlet of arms that we saw in that tournament, and then to come up and hit some balls hard tonight as well. That was awesome. So yeah, he's getting better, and he looks to be a mainstay in the lineup.
We're going to go here and then to the second row and back to the third for the next 3.
Will Vanderbilt, Clemson Insider. Jacob, I wanted to ask you, what was your thought process going into that situation where the bases are juiced and no outs? And then also, kind of follow up to that, just what's been different for you the last couple of weeks where everything seems to be going pretty good for you?
Yeah, the thought process, that's my roommate out there on the mound. He got into a little bit of a jam just to try and go out and minimize, to help the team to get out of it with as little as possible, to try and, get the offense back out there. And, they came around, and then the offense did their thing, so just to minimize. What was the second part again?
Just like what's been working for you the last few weeks?
It's just we all know it's go time. Everyone behind us. We all know it's postseason baseball, so we just have to be that much more locked in as a team. I know the guys the guys in the field, they've got me, so it's just to try and go out and do what I do, and I know they're going to do what they do.
Let's go to the second row and then the third, and then we are going to wrap it up with one final question. Does anyone here not have a question? Raise your hand. We'll go up here. Okay, so we'll go here, here, and here.
Cam, Ashton Mixon with the Clemson Insider. Playing postseason baseball at DKS every single year of your college career, how does that give you confidence knowing that you've been here before?
Yeah, we've been here for the past 3 years. The fans, they're one in a lifetime. Just happy to be at Clemson. I got to play with Caden Grice and Cooper Ingle my freshman year, and it was a great experience. Last year, I got to play with Alden Mathis, Jacob Hinderleiter, Jimmy Overtop, and this year we got to play with new guys, and I'm just happy to be here, and the fans is the most exciting part of the tournament. So
Let's go back here, and then we'll wrap it up front.
All right, 2-part question here. Chris Handy with CUTigers.com. Coach Bakich, first for you. We met with you right after the Duke series by yourself and me, when we talked about this team having their back against the wall, and you like that mentality there, come out fighting. And you talked about how we asked the question, what was it going to take to get this team, the ship righted? And you talked about meeting with them individually and breaking down everything. What was that mentality like with the team, those meeting likes? And then for Cam and Jacob, was there anything about you guys that you discovered new during that time?
Yeah, so, when you're struggling, at any point, and this isn't just baseball, but, at any point, just simplification is needed. You just got to simplify. And especially for a sport like baseball, we were going through it for 3 weeks, and obviously it lasted longer than anyone wanted it to, so we needed to make some adjustments. So it was more a meeting of, with kind of the critical mass of the guys who are playing the most of, what's the strength, your best strength, and how are you going to maintain it? Because it's very important that we maintain our strengths instead of just focusing all the energy on improving weaknesses, and so it was what's everybody's number one strength they're gonna stick with, and then if there was one thing, you're not trying to get 10, 15, 20% gains right now. It's just maybe you can find a 1% improvement. So if there was one adjustment to be made, one thing, then what's the process for how we're going to improve that? And there were guys that a little thing kind of unlocked them. Like Andrew Chufo is a great example. He had very high hands and a very big leg kick, and it wasn't. We felt like him simplifying his stance and his swing, and he lowered his hands a bit, and he went to more of a no stride, and he had an awesome ACC tournament, and he had some big at-bats tonight too, and so it's stuff like that, and it didn't have to be mechanical. Some of it might be mindset or just whatever the case may be, pitch usage for some guys, and so it was, everyone was different, but it was very important for us, even if it wasn't like we're discovering something new, just psychosomatic, knowing that that we're working on something, and gave them kind of a path to navigate. And for some of the guys, there wasn't an adjustment Cam needed to make. Cam had already was smelling the postseason, and he's this is the time where he's at his best and shines the brightest, and McGovern's using his McShovern's using his changeup more, and so it's just could be just a bunch of little things, but added up, I think the credit goes to the players, because they're the ones who have to go play, and they're the one. We can give them recommendations as coaches, but they're the ones who found a way. And we had the defining moment at Pitt. Aiden Canuck and Joe and Lucas go out and throw a no-hitter, and then game 2. We have our very best game of the year, top to bottom. We played as complete of a game as we had played all year in all 3 phases. And so it's just, once that happened, it was like, all right, we're good. And the guys can just exhale and play more mentally free and release whatever was holding them back. And so it looks like just a very confident team and return to form. And it's not always perfect, as we saw tonight. The first 4 innings were tough, but, we had a moment in the game, and that was McShovern coming in and doing what he did, and then we kind of settled in and looked more like us.
All right, we'll finish things up right here in the front.
Jason Priester, Clemson Insider for Cam. Sorry about that. Right before your double there in the 5th, after you took the first pitch, you had this slide grin on your face, sneaky grin, almost like you knew you were fixing to do something big. Did you see something that pitch before to where you thought you were fixing to do something?
No,
Just coincidence?
Yeah, it was coincident, but like y'all said, just shining in the big moment. I like to do that a lot, and if I had a grin, I don't remember, but.
It looked like one of those slide.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.